picked it up. Oh, yes. You ready?
Ready to go.
Okay. Call the meeting to order for September 26th, 2025, or December 26th, February 26th, 2025.
December.
Whatever. The 2025 part got me. Roll call members, please.
General,
Here.
Kai,
Here.
Leaders,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Herder.
Here. You all had a chance to read the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes or make corrections?
Motion to approve. Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, now read our opening statement. Public hearing will be conducted pursuant to the board's rules of procedure as adopted May 26, 1988. We will first hear the planning report of the director on the detailed information and observations regarding the request, if not done so in written form prior to the hearing. Next, we will take testimony of the applicant and his or her witnesses. Upon completion of the applicant's testimony, I'll call upon members of the audience wishing to make a statement concerning the request. Person in favor of the request shall be heard first, followed by those who oppose it. At any time during the presentation of testimony, members of the board may interrupt to ask questions or make comments on what has been said. Upon completion of all testimony, the applicant will be allowed to make a closing statement to the board. Upon completion of the applicant's closing statement, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the request. After the public hearing has been closed, we will then hear the recommendation, if any, of the planning director. And upon completion of all discussion, I'll entertain a motion from the members of the board regarding the disposition of the application. Each speaker addressing the board shall step forward to the podium, state their name and address before proceeding with their testimony or evidence. I would ask that you spell your last name. This board shall not be bound by strict rules of evidence, but does reserve the right to exclude evidence or testimony that may deem to be irrelevant, immaterial, incompetent, or unduly repetitious. As chairman, I will rule on all questions relating to the misfield of evidence, which may be overruled by the majority of the board. The board may grant continuances in case for good cause, so to any interested party who has entered his appearance. The board may, at any time, request a continuance of a hearing for the purpose of giving further notice, taking further evidence, gathering further information, touring the proposed site, or for other such reasons the board may find sufficient. In such case, we shall state the specific reasons for the continuance and set a date, time, and place when the matter will be continued. All official actions of this board will be made at public hearing by motion made, seconded, and polling of the membership. If conditions are imposed, such conditions shall be included in the motion or amended hereto. Our final decision will be prepared in writing and will be part of the public record of the board. Once this board had reached a decision on a case, that decision shall be final. Section 335.18 of the Iowa Code states, any person or persons, jointly or severally, aggravated by any decision of the Board of Adjustment under the provisions of Chapter 335, or any taxpayer or any officer, department, board, or bureau of the county, may present to a court of record a petition duly verified, setting forth that such decision was illegal in whole or in part, specifying the grounds of legality. Such petition shall be presented to the court within 30 days after the filing of the decision of the office of the board. Upon hearing that, I would ask for a motion to open up the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing for case number ZV-2025-01.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The hearing is now open. The applicant, Tim Moyer or Christine Denny, would like to step up to the podium. Or your representative.
Good evening, Deborah Peterson, Petersen, 215 South Main Street, Council of Iowa, Suite 301. I'm an attorney and I'm here tonight with Christine DeMay and Tim Moeller. They are original Iowa residents. They're wanting to get back to the good side of the river, so to speak. So they're here looking to build a home on this property, which I think you have seen in your packet. So we're looking tonight to ask you to approve a small variance for them for this property, which is just north of Council Bluffs. The application that we have filed requests a 25-foot variance. So The normal setback at this location would be 75 feet, but we're asking for 50. And they want to build their single-family home there on Hillsborough Lane, right near the intersection of Hillsborough and Monument Road. It's an approximate 3-acre tract of land, which was the site of a former single-family home, but a tornado damaged that beyond repair and it was taken out. So the ground is currently vacant. There is no structure there. The only thing that's really kind of left is the well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that home is now gone. So your staff has included in your packet a drawing. We're showing the lines of the various setback, whether it's 50 or 75 there, and you can see that. Also on the staff's drawings, you will notice the red contour lines. And engineers can probably figure that out, but it's a little complicated for me. So I had to actually look at the property and look at the pictures, which we have some pictures for you so you can see how that is. But the steepness of that property, as well as the irregular shape of the lot, is why we're here. Most of the property, because there's a really steep grade on the west side of this parcel. Most of the property in the area is residential. And the property is bordered on the west by an active rail line with trains and whistles and the whole works. I was there. And Interstate 29, and that's where the huge drop off is. So the property is located in Class A4 Les Hills District. And in accordance with your ordinance, that district is designed to preserve the unique nature of the rare Les Hills soils and the topographic region of Western Iowa, while still allowing some appropriate development, which includes simple single-family homes. If we wanted to build an apartment complex or a commercial building there, I don't think we would be able to even come here. I wouldn't even represent these people with that kind of a request. This request we're asking is 25 feet difference. It would allow Christine and Tim to build their home on this unique piece of property in Pottawattamie County, which has a very irregular shape and the substantial grades. It's the layout of the property that really causes the hardship here, which should allow you to grant the variance. The construction of that single family dwelling with a 50-foot setback will allow it to not encroach much onto the setback, and the only part that would be in the 75 feet would be the garage anyway, which is, I believe, a 1-story structure on that side. So, and that minimizes the excavation of the soil. They talked to a gentleman that does dirt moving and looking at this property. If they were to move that house back to the 75 feet, we're talking about $35,000 just to do the dirt, not including shaping the hill for the appropriate slope to prevent drainage problems down the road and putting it very close to the edge of the drop off on the west side. The Les Hills ordinance itself does require a minimum 50-foot setback. So we are within that request here. So you can't, if we came and asked for less, we couldn't ask for that legitimately. We could ask, but I wouldn't expect you to say, okay. Therefore, this variance request is in line with that. The Iowa Code, Section 335.15, as you know, sets forth the powers of this board. And that includes the granting of a variance from the terms when it is not contrary to the public interest, where special conditions cause a literal enforcement to result in an unnecessary hardship, such that the spirit of the ordinance will be observed and justice be done. So the county ordinance goes on further, as your staff has put in your packet for you, and shows the considerations that you have to make when you're looking at this application. And so if you look, they're listed A through J in your packet. A is difficulty or hardship, and that's one we are here for. B, not merely a convenience. This is not just a convenience, and not impair the general purpose and intent of the ordinance. Those top three are the ones that I think are applicable in this case for you to look at, because there's no allegation that we're going to impair the supply of light or air, increase fire damage, diminish the value of the land. In fact, putting a house on it will increase the value of the land and the tax base. It's not going to change the traffic congestion or hazards or impair the public health or safety. It's not based on another non-conforming use, and it's not a use that's impermissible. So it's my opinion that D through J are really not anything you have to give a lot of consideration to. A through C, that's what we want you to look at. So I think you will look at this and you will see that we fit all of those requirements. The focus on those three, we're going to direct your attention to a case of Early versus the Board of Adjustment of Cerro Gordo County here, decided by the Supreme Court in 2021. And of course, the Supreme Court looks at not only the Iowa Code, they look at case law, they look at county ordinances, and they say, this is what I think you should do. And, you know, they are the Supreme Court that does the interpretation of all court cases when granted. In that case, they were faced with granting a small variance, but they went and took the opportunity to discuss what's an unnecessary hardship, because it really hadn't been discussed a lot by the Supreme Court, and says that they adopted this three-part test. Part one says the land cannot yield a reasonable return if it has to comply with the ordinance. The plight of the owner is due to the unique circumstances and not just the general nature of the neighborhood or the parcel of ground. And the granting of the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality. So those are really the three things the Supreme Court says. Those things mirror with your ordinance, the top three items, as well as the Iowa Code, what you're required to consider. This land requiring an additional $35,000 just to move the dirt, plus who knows how much to finish this slope, because you can't really make a determination of that until the dirt would be moved, is a hardship for a reasonable return for a single family home on a 3-acre lot. You will see from the pictures that this is due to the unique circumstances of this ground. As I told my clients, if this was a square piece of ground that was flat, I wouldn't have even talked to them, because it's not worth asking for things like that. But this is not even, I don't even know what kind of a hexagon, polygon, whatever kind of shape this is. It's not a square, I can guarantee you that. So they have that as well as the grade. And it's not going to alter the locality. There was the old house there, which we have pictures of that as well. So when you consider all that and its actual location in a low traffic area, this piece of ground is a total perfect example that lends itself to the granting of a simple small variance for the 25 feet. And it will not be in conflict with your general nature of your ordinances. In fact, it complies, as I said, with the minimum standard for the Les Hills, protects and minimizes the excavation and disturbance of the rare Les Hills soil. And that way we're not going back any further. As I said, the 75-foot would be substantial grading and fill. If it was a simple lot, as I said, wouldn't be here. No part would encroach into the 50 feet, so therefore we would be in compliance when you grant the variance. And again, this would increase the value to the property. I'm going to hand you some pictures.
I can do the video. I didn't prepare the pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay then. We'll do the video last.
Okay.
I'll give you copies of pictures. So I'm one short. The first picture, we are looking from down from the south end of the property looking up. And if you look to the side, that's where that big hill is at, that I'm talking about. When you get to the next one, and your picture might be upside down. The gate should be at the bottom. And so this is a good example of, you can see the road, which is Hillsborough Lane. You can see the gate at the south entrance, which our driveway will be up here at the north. But more importantly, you can see that huge drop off and the rail track down there. That's really what's causing the issues if we have to get too far into that bank. The next picture is at the intersection, so you can look up the hill and you can again see the steepness of the grade there of that whole parcel. The next one, we're standing more toward the middle, looking down to the south. So you can see again, the land falling off. This picture, the next one with the brown in it, this one is important because you'll see up here in the left-hand corner, there's a little folding chair. That's the well. So we have that marked so we can be sure we're not gonna impose on that. So that's where that's located, and you can see the road in the background there. The next picture again shows you the location. Again, we're looking south to look at the train track there with an actual train on it. The next picture is the old house. And I don't know when it was built. I didn't go look that up, but it's the one that was destroyed by the tornado, and I'm not sure it even has 25 feet setback, let alone 50 or 75. So, but that's nothing to rely on, but just so you have a reference of that. And then the last item I have, and this might have been in your staff packet too, and the engineers print in small print, so I'm not very good at reading all this. But if you look at the red line there, there's a 50 and a 75. And you'll see at the 75, it's really just a little corner of the garage and a little corner of the house. But the fact of moving that back 25 is a hell of an expense to move that back. Whereas if we go with the 50, we're right up there, perfect, setting back from the road. So that's what we have for pictures. And then Tim has also prepared another package of pictures for you. This shows the original part of the subdivision layout when the Musical Hills was put in years ago, many years ago. That's the first picture. And his next picture is the old house, which you already have that. But this next one has got the red lines on it, and he again shows you a little bit. He's not as detailed as the one the engineers draw. So this is a little easier to read. And you can see his drawing of the 50 and the 75. Not a major difference at this location. The next one shows some possible staking of a house at the location. You can see the stakes there. The next one is the one that has the well in it. I showed you that one. If they're bigger, you can read it. The train, I showed you that one. And then this might be a little easier to read than the one I gave you and the one your staff gave you. That shows the 50 and the 75 with the drawing of the house. So I think once you consider all of that, and see the layout and look at this actual setback and grade, and that will give you a good idea. And we do have a little drone video that shows kind of how it goes down. Is it gonna play there or here?
Gonna play over here.
Okay. So we're looking up to the north. You can see the road is off to the right there. There's our lovely hill. Here comes our well. So basically that flat part there is where we want to put the house with less disturbance on the backside. That will,
The gate, is that where the driveway is gonna be for this?
I'll
there's,
play it again. It's like right in here
Oh, is it staked out for the driveway?
is where you'll see the driveway would be, yeah.
We can put
Okay.
it there, or we can put it at that back gate, either one.
Okay.
the back gate is the one that's drawn on that picture.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And where's the septic?
I think
They took it out after the tornado.
so they would have to install a new
Oh,
septic.
okay.
So they would have to,
They buried it.
but we should have enough room to the south or to the north. Plenty of land
Sure.
on 3 acres to get that done. They might have to do a little more piping than some of us do, but
Yeah.
so that said, that's my presentation. I think that your decision should be pretty simple to make and allow this variant. I think this case just begs for a simple variant of the 25 feet. Will allow them to build a nice home, get back to Iowa, retire here, and improve our tax base, as well as make a very usable piece of this ground that's kind of unique in the Lusk Hills. Now, Tim Mueller and Christine Demay are here. If they would like to say anything, that's fine. And if you have questions for them that I'm not able to answer, they're happy to answer any questions you have, and I'm happy to answer if I can. Thank you for your time.
I just had a question. What are the dimensions of the house?
Tim, why don't you come up here and state your name and address and spell your name for me?
I'm Tim Moeller, Moeller. We currently live in Omaha. The dimensions are 48 by 80 with a side garage towards the gravel road to the east. We're playing with the dimensions of the garage because we don't know where we can put it, so.
Right. Anybody else have any other questions on that or?
Oh, that's a big house. Lot square foot.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to tell us about the property or?
No.
All right,
No.
very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank-
Christine, you want to add anything?
I'm
You gotta come up here.
Christine. DE, capital MEY, 5841 Lake Street, Omaha, Nebraska. I just wanted to add, we're in such a tiny house right now we just want it to be, instead of adding on later, we want to build something that's a nice size. And we are playing with the dimensions of the house too, maybe making it a little bit smaller, depending on where we're going to be able to put it. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you. This time, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor?
I would.
State your last name and address, please. Sure.
My name's Doug Hutchison, Hutcheson. My address is 19,000 Minster Springs Road. It's the house with the wind turbine. I don't know anybody here. I was impressed by Deb Peterson. I have a case for you for the city. I've met Matt and I might know Karen. Is Dave your son? Okay. I happened to stop by today to talk to Matt about a garage I want to build. And he told me 75-foot setback, and he said there happened to be a meeting here tonight about this very topic. So that's why I'm showing up. That also, and mine might be a little different than theirs, but in looking at the regulation, which goes back to 86 or something like that, you and Deb knows, and these people know, the neighbors, there are several neighbors that are probably definitely within 25 foot. I know they're grandfathered and they're possibly within 10 feet of the highway, or it's a county road. And the county road is a gravel road. It's a dead end gravel road. I don't know that makes a difference to anybody. There's not really a lot of traffic. I've never really been by their place before, but when I saw this, I live about 6 minutes away. So I thought, well, let me go drive by the place. And I could see it had recently been, apparently from the tornado, no building was there anymore. And on one topic that was just briefly touched on, and that's Los Hills, I think I definitely know that I don't want to see anybody eat into the Los Hills any more than we have to. And I know there probably are other interest groups that wouldn't want to see people eat in, although it's totally their right. Just from that passion alone for the Los Hills, let's not eat into the hills anymore. That's one point. The other point is, I don't know if this is indiscriminately applied or discriminately applied, but when I did my addition 5 years ago, my addition is within 50 foot of what isn't really a county road, but it's what keeps me from having a garage within 75 feet of what used to be Rainbow Road, Council Bluffs. My property, not that it matters, is right at the bottom of it. Long if you go straight up the gravel, that's me. It's not gravel, it's now millings. But I did that addition and nobody ever said a word that I had to be 75 feet away, and it's not 50 feet away. It's within 50 feet. So if you have any questions, even if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor? Anybody opposed? If you'd like to make a closing statement, you have the option if you'd like. Okay.
I think I've said my piece. Thank
Okay.
you.
Nothing else. I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close public hearing.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ask for staff recommendations.
Yes, and I want to, and so you'll have to tell me if you confer with this, Pam, because it did kind of trigger something when they were talking about this being in the Les Hills, right? And the one thing that we overlooked on this when we originally did this staff recommendation was a slope protection district, which is 8.065, which would only allow them to potentially move 1,000 cubic yards of dirt from that. So I know that we've looked at this a couple of different times from the zoning board of adjustments aspect of it, right? But I do think this property being in the Les Hills and the uniqueness of that slope protection district that is there, that would potentially only allow them to move up to 1,000 cubic yards of dirt in a 12-month period, right? So if a dirt guy had to come in there and slope that bank back further or push that hill back, it would have to be 1,000 cubic yards at a time per year while they sat there and seeded up. Now, this was a code that was adopted in 2015, right? So it has been, I don't know that we have used it yet necessarily, but we
had any reason to really.
Yeah. Right, and part of so I wrote down part of what the beginning of chapter 8.065, the slope protection district says, and of course, in the opening statement of that, it is to promote safe locations for building. So if we look at where this property being at the base of the Les Hills, the opening face slope of the Les Hills, what they would have to do to push that potential part of it back, this slope protection district was made specifically for that. So you didn't get bigger cuts into it. You didn't move any more of that soil. You could almost open a borrow pit on that place by the time probably to, depending on how many thousand cubic yards they're going to haul out of there. And this has been on our radar because this year we realized that in Council Bluffs, there is going to be massive building projects kicking off. We're getting a number of requests for borrow sites and we're trying to keep them out of the Les Hills the best we can. So we're looking at a more stringent view of our grading and excavation thing. So I do think that that there is a case to be made that this be approved due to the uniqueness of the Les Hills in which it sits and based on chapter 8.065, the slope protection district, to provide them to promote safe building locations within the Les Hills, but not intruding into them the fact of moving more or less dirt, pushing, to reestablish a bank on there. So that would be my recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, that this is or to the Board of Adjustment, that this is a case in which you could approve a 25-foot setback variance based on the geographical locations of being in the Les Hills. The last one that we just did, that was out eastern in the county, that was not in the Les Hills. So it's not potatoes to potatoes on this. This is a geographic landform of the Les Hills, a specific site in the Les Hills that we're trying to preserve as much as we can. And for us to stick stringent to this and say, nope, you got to be at the 75 feet. You're going to have to move as much dirt as you can to get to it. That's going against our own ordinance. That's going against our slope protection district of the Les Hills.
Well, and the other thing about that other one was it was on a highway.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely different. Did you see any? I mean, I drove out there, but it's kind of hard to visualize this. You did a great job presenting, by the way.
Thank you.
Do you have any concerns about safety because of the road?
Not if they're going to that 50 feet, I mean, there's the traffic on that Hillsborough North is not all that great. There's a private road that it goes Hillsborough North and then it turns into a private road. Hidden Valley Lane, I think is what it's called, that goes back up in there. You're not gonna mess with any of the geographic, because even as you're going up Hillsborough, all the houses are very close to the road. It's an older neighborhood. Hillsborough or Hidden Valley Lane is much of a newer area, newer being 1960s and not up probably, but even those homes sit extremely close to the road. And it was more than likely all done to try to preserve as much of the Les Hills as they can, and that's your first building site. You built there. And I think this makes a good case for it.
In our subdivision ordinance, I know you don't rule on that, but how if you're going to do a subdivision, if it's in the Les Hills, there are certain stipulations. Well, you're on the planning and zoning. If it's in the Les Hills, you can potentially have the setbacks closer and
Right.
stagger and
To stay out.
step it in
Mhm.
to preserve the less hills.
Can you
Again,
see
they're
that
not
road
hills.
being, more hard surface in the future? Would this affect that? No? Oh, that's too bad.
I think there's just not, you'll never have the density.
Not enough people.
Yeah.
I'll make a
Only
motion to
quarter.
approve case number ZB 2025-01.
I second that.
Moving second, roll call vote.
Anderson,
Yes.
Herder,
Yes.
Leaders,
Yes.
Kai,
No.
Jenner.
Yes. Granted, your patient's been approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's another.
I have these.
I don't need any of them anymore. Is the other case, is that canceled?
So they're not here, and we did monitor this, and there was an obituary where this gentleman was actually buried in a different location than this, so I don't know.
Can we table it? What can we do? If they're
We
not
didn't really
here-
want to reach out to them considering,
Kristen, do you have a suggestion on this one, this next one?
If we would like to table it, I think we can do that.
You can't
I
table
think
it.
maybe that'd be the
Yeah.
thing to do, and
You don't have to act if you don't want to, and if you want to give them some time to decide if they want to come forward or not. That would be a reasonable thing to do.
well, I would make a motion to table case number CU
didn't show up, is that?
20-25-01.
I mean, but we're, oh,
They already filed this. I just don't think this guy.
If we table it, then, we can have it for the next meeting, and if they wanna show up, they can show up, and if they don't, then it just
I'll try to
dies.
reach out and verify with him.
I'll second Lynn's motion to table.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried. Any other business for us, Matt?
No other business for tonight?
If no other business, I guess I would entertain a motion to,
Oh, just one question. Matt brought up this 1,000 cubic feet of movement.
Cubic yards.
I mean, 1,000 cubic yards. I'm pretty sure some of my neighbors right off Monument have moved more than that for several years in a row, but that's all I'm gonna say about that.
this guy's comedy relief here.
That's the truth.
entertain a motion to close the public hearing? Or to
Adjourn.
To adjourn.
adjourn, sorry. Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.